Hi, Gay. If you haven't seen Megan Salter's little TikTok videos where she does that character, you must. Anyway, if you have been following my channel, you know that in January and into the beginning of February, I shared a something I never really do. I've never done this before. I did a class on Lenormand, which is a thing I've never done before. And I did really, because I'm not an expert in Lenormand, although during the course of that, over the course of this video, we're going to talk about my journey with Lenormand and also my decks. So I'm going to show you the Marseille decks that I have. I'm going to tell you the ones that I like. I'm going to tell you the ones that I don't really like. And I'm just going to share thoughts on Lenormand as we go in my own little Friday night way. This is going to be a very old-fashioned video for those who have been with me for a while, because I am not super prepared in this case, and I'm just sort of rambling and doing my thing, and not really worried about all the ums and ahs and shit that people used to comment on. And so just, you know, if you're new to my channel, welcome. This is a fun space where we tarot, where we now Lenormand, we've Sibylled, we've Kippered, we talk about problematic parts of the United States and white supremacy, and we just do our shit. If you don't like that I will pause and restart and talk like a human being, then go fuck yourself. And go find another channel where you have perfect people to listen to. But if you are imperfect as I am, and you enjoy a fun ride, and just rambling about Lenormand, let's go. So, we're going to talk about the decks again. We're going to talk about the experience. So anyway, I did those 4 workshops. Now, I charge for classes, my tarot classes, because I'm a very good tarot reader and teacher. I did not charge for the Lenormand. This is the thing that I will say constantly. I don't know whether to call it Lenormand, Lenormand, Lenormand. I don't like Lenormand. Lenormand feels pretentious, but I don't know. Anyway. I wanted to do some playing around with it. I wanted to do kind of a workshop, but what I didn't want to do was suggest that I'm an expert and that I am someone you should be paying to have teach you. So I did a free 4-week workshop that I posted on my YouTube page with just some folks that, you know, basically I said, you know, there's 12 spots, you know, sign up, and I just went with like the first 12 people who signed up. And not everyone could go. The folks that could go joined when they could. And we just spent some time really exploring the idea of Lenormand through a lens that I have come to experience. This is one of those times where I kind of wish that I were doing a face video, but I don't want to do the setup, so I'm not going to. I learned so much about reading tarot from studying cartomantic techniques, especially Lenormand, even though I found Lenormand really fucking frustrating and not fun to read. Because I found it very rigid. I felt like it was a language that only had vowel sounds, and there were no elisions or... I'm sorry, not vowel sounds, consonant sounds. There were no elisions or vowel sounds to create language. And I was trying really hard to follow the rules. But the thing that made me, in my book, what a really good tarot reader was that I gave up on the rules at some point. And then I thought, why am I doing that? Why am I following the rules with Lenormand? Because that's not who I am and that's not what I do. And that's not to say that I am throwing the rules out, just that I stopped caring what the gatekeepers say about the system, because they've never helped. I've taken classes, I've read books, I took a workshop with Rana George at the Reader Studio the last time it existed. I have taken both of Camellia Elias's Lenormand classes, and Camellia Elias's classes were among the best that I've taken experience-wise, and they were the ones that helped me kind of understand a lot, both about tarot and about Lenormand. But still, they didn't quite unlock the system for me. And what did unlock the system for me was kind of forgetting everything I knew. And kind of going back to square one. and asking very simple questions in the same way that I ask about tarot. Now, this is the best of the books that I read about Lenormand during my initial years learning. This is Caitlin Matthews' The Complete Lenormand Oracle Handbook. You can see it's well read. I have read this many times. It's also among the most well-executed, full-color cartomancy books I've ever read. So, like, just a joy to, like, read and hold. The publisher, which is Destiny Books, did a gorgeous job on this. That said, it didn't get me closer to reading. During the prep for the workshops, I read a little bit more. I went back to this and did some skimming. I went to this book, Hands of Fate, by Robert Artisan, for the playing card part of it. And this has a very kind of central Western European approach. And then just on a whim, I remembered this book, which is Lenormand 36 Cards, An Introduction to the Petit Lenormand by Andy Borova Shangra. And this I would now probably cite as my recommendation for learning. And I'll tell you that, you know, in terms of the normal, like, it's got the meanings of the clouds, the whatever, but the author also sort of what he calls progresses them into kind of more modern meanings. But what was really interesting was the way that this person reads, the approach to the card insets, and the fact that they don't use houses in the Grand Tableau I thought was really interesting. Now, I find houses in the Grand Tableau, come to find out, very interesting. So, but those are the books that I kind of went in with in preparation for the workshop. And I think this has become, to me, the best of the books. Let's look at some decks. So, in no particular order, I think this was the first Lenormand that I ever got. So this is the Ciro Marchetti, and I think I bought it just because, like, the packaging was really sexy. And I haven't really used it for a couple of reasons. One, the cards are really large, but one thing I will say that the rule makers have constantly said is that you really want to know what you're looking at immediately in a Lenormand spread, and that I 100% agree with. And so this one is a little more nebulous in some cases. The cards are also larger than most Lenormand cards, but they're also very rich and pretty, you know. So I don't dislike this deck much. I prefer, weirdly, to see the card inset in the color of cards. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see the card inset like a card. In there. But, you know, really, it's actually like a really pretty deck, and I don't really see anything wrong with it. It's larger than most Lenormands, it's glossy. Some of the images don't quite scream to me what they're supposed to be right away. Like, this is the heart, it doesn't do it for me. You know, and this is the rider. It's, you know, it's okay. You know, but it's pretty. And it does its thing, which is that you can really very quickly see what you're looking at, which to me is important. You know, with tarot, it's important with this, it's important with Sibylla. I want to know immediately what I'm looking at so I can start making associations. I really hate that child card, just FYI, and I don't like the coffin card either. But you know, it's gorgeous. Now there's a new version of this. I'm told, that has additional cards. So it's kind of an expanded deck. So that is, I don't have it because I probably, you know, I keep reaching for the same ones over and over again. So that's that one. I think this is the first one I got. So these are not in any particular order. All right, so I'm gonna be right back. All right, we're back. Sorry. Nothing you even noticed that. So what are we gonna look at next? This is the Vorsagen Lenormand. This is the one that I got initially. This is what it looked like. It was in a blue box, and it has some pamphlets and a tiny little German hardcover book and the deck. It's a much smaller deck than most, which is nice for a Grand Tableau. Like, if we compare it to the Maybe It's much smaller. It's an interesting little deck because it's actually very easy to. I don't think I'm going to do a whole. Granted, I don't think I have room. Maybe I do. I might with this one. It's very crisp and clear, which, it's uncluttered. And this is a thing that, like, I feel like as much as I get, like, weirded out by, like, the gatekeeping, having the ability to see exactly what you're looking at, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, is really helpful, especially in a giant spread. But there are a couple cards that are a little weird. One of them being this. This is the mice, so it's very hard to see that that's the mice. And there's only one other one that's that weird. But because it's small, you can't really riffle shuffle it, but it definitely makes it easy and pocketable, and you can do this kind of anywhere. And in that regard, that's really great. Because you know immediately what you're looking at. And, I guess where I was going with this is that, like, that's a stereotype, a cliche of Lenormand that I actually think is really, really important. It doesn't matter how beautiful the cards are if you can't see what they're doing. And then this is the other one right here at the bottom. This is the whip, but it's just a table. And I don't even know... it's so hard to tell whether there's even something on the table. So you sort of have to know that that's the whip or the broom. But you can see here, I don't even have to zoom in to get the whole GT in front of me. So other than the whip and the mice, it's a very clear deck. And very, very easy to read, very easy to work with. It's a nice size. It looks kind of old. The backs are just blue. But I haven't been able to find this anywhere since. Now, I'm not one who buys multiple copies of of Lenormand decks because I really, if you know my channel, have found Marseille very challenging. Up until recently, and I can't even say for sure what changed other than I changed. You know what I mean? And I just let myself off the hook and said, just say what you see. Just read what you're seeing. But if you like that and you can't find this, there's this, which you can find on Amazon. This is the Old Lenormand Altesse Ancien Old Lenormand Alexandre Gluck. It's a Consfort Urania deck, which I think is the same publisher that does the Margareta Peterson. It has a book. This is a much more box than I anticipated. The book is in multiple languages, and there is English. So unlike this, there's English. I don't know who wrote this book, and Alexander Gluck wrote this one. I haven't even read it. But basically, the point of this is that these are the same cards, exactly the same cards as the other blue box. Same thing, blue back. These are a little more marbled, and the stock's a little thinner. But they're basically the same size. And really, the thing about this deck when you shuffle it is the dark blue gets scratched. This will probably prevent that a little bit, but it's basically the same deck. Not basically, it is the same deck. And so if you can't find that one, and I'll say looking at this now, see there are some differences. So this has oh no, that's the site, sorry. No, so it's not different. So it's exactly the same deck. But if you can't find that and you like this and you like the size and the simplicity of it, I will also say these are slightly clearer than the other blue box I showed you. So the main difference here is that this is more gettable, and yeah, there's really nothing on that table. I wonder if this has anything in the book. Let's find out. Yoink. Nope, it just says rod. So, no idea why it doesn't show up. You might be able to riffle shuffle these, although I'm not sure you would want to. But they overhand really nicely. So if you can't find that, there's this. I think this was less expensive. I honestly can't remember. But just some slight differences in terms of the backing. A little bit clearer, sharper images. The book doesn't quite fit in the box, but doesn't really matter. This is on Amazon. What else? Let's look at one I don't like. This is the old style Lenormand, which is fine in a lot of ways. This is a relatively new US Games deck. It's got a relatively thick little book. Cards are playing card size. The problem for me, first off, is I hate putting names on the back of a deck. A lot of Kipper and Lenormand decks will put the name on it. I don't like that. It's good, other than that. You know, it's fine. I guess I was so kind of annoyed when I saw the name on the back, which is a dumb thing to really care about, except it's not. You know, like, the art's nice. I'm gonna lace them out. You know, like, I don't really... It's pretty clear. I wish the card insets were slightly larger. I wish the backgrounds were slightly less dramatic. I will say this is a deck that comes with 2 man and 2 woman cards. That doesn't really solve for me our current world and our current relationship to gender identity. So really, I'll either leave the 2 men and 2 women, or 2 women, and I'll just mark one as the significator and one as the other. The significator I'll mark with a little dot from a Sharpie. It's pretty clear. If you don't mind the back, you know, you can see, again, what you're looking at. Here's the other man card. I actually didn't mark this deck because I thought I was going to send it back. But you know, it's pretty good. And I didn't send it back because at the end of the day, the only thing I really don't like about it is that it is that it says old style Lenormand on the back, which is just a weird little thing that I get annoyed by. I have some decks that were gifted to me that are Lenormands that I don't really know if you can get them, so I'm not going to show them. I'm showing ones, for the most part, that I either knew where I got, or that I knew, or I know still you can find. The next one I'm going to show you, I actually don't know if it's still in print, but I want to show it to you because I want to talk about one reason why it's not successful to me. And it's actually a couple of reasons. This is the 1889 Lenormand, which is one of the early ones that I bought too, back when I was still kind of hoping I would be able to become a Lenormand reader, which ironically now I think I am, but wasn't feeling then. It's a beautiful deck. I don't know who the creator was. It was for the Seekers Mystical Workshop, and this came out in 2017, so it wasn't even that long ago. It's got some really interesting cardstock. Like, it overhand shuffles really well, and it's got this gorge back. Now, the cardstock is such that when I riffle shuffled it, I bent and creased a few of the cards. I don't know if you can quite see that, but I did. And there's a handful. It's got a beautiful matte gilding. The cardstock, aside from the fact that you can't really riffle it, you know, it's not the end of the world. And a lot of the cards are pretty evident what they are out of the gate. But there are some that aren't. And there's a couple in this spread. I'm going to do a slightly larger spread than I would normally do, just to make my point. I'm not going to do a whole grand tableau, but just so you get the point. So the stars, to me, it's like, this is just a purely aesthetic thing. I don't quite get why it's like a mobile. Like, that does not make a lot of sense to me. The coffin, the cross, I keep thinking this is like the statue or something. Like, the cross is in the background, and then the coffin is in a hearse. So, like, when I used this in a reading in the workshop, which you can go back and watch, and I thought this was the coffin, and then I realized it's the cross, but because what I'm looking at is a grave. But it's the cross that matters. And then the coffin is what matters, but it's inside a hearse, so is this the rider? You know what I mean? And then someone thought this was the fish, because it looks like clownfish, even though it's the snake. So it's a really beautiful deck, but it's also easy to misinterpret what you're looking at. The other thing that I don't like about it is that all the card insets are black and white, so you can't quite see the array. And then finally, one thing what happened when we did a sample reading of this in the workshop was we were giving all these very kind of dark mournful, answers, these very kind of negative answers. And I said, are we giving these kinds of answers because that's what the cards are showing us, or because this deck looks funereal? You know what I mean? And so it's an interesting thing where, like, I think, as a deck designer, I'm not the first one to say this by any stretch of the imagination, I'm just the one who's saying it now, that you can kind of do whatever you want, but we want to know what we're looking at right away without confusion. And we also don't want to be too influenced by the tenor of the deck. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to be giving an answer that's influenced by the fact that the deck looks kind of mournful. It's a beautiful deck, got really interesting cardstock, but it's not one that I would use just for those reasons. Now, let's go here. So this is the Maybe Lenormand. This is a deck that I love. This is probably the one that I love the most, with one exception, that is equal. This is Ryan Edwards, Maybe Lenormand. I'm right? Yes. I just find this deck... this is the only card I don't like. The clouds don't really look like clouds to me. They look like oceans. Waves. But again, card insets that are clear, simple. It reminds me a lot of the Altus, the ancient Lenormand, or the Warsagen, the blue box that I showed you, because it was partly influenced by that. Ryan Edwards was and is Camellia Elias' student, and he designed this kind of based on her specifications, so to speak. And as a result, it is very, very good. And I would say, probably a better option if you're not sure if you want this version, or you want something that's a little larger and a little more modern. It does not have extra people cards, so there's just a man and a woman. But what it does have is a whole 52 deck. So this that I've just been playing with is just the 36 Lenormand cards. There's more over there, but I also have a second copy of this deck that has the entire 52 cards. So the 36 plus an additional several that are not Lenormand. And that would include... Is this in order? No. Things like the Cupid, the Lion, a Handshake, Bacchus, I think, a Medal. I think I've shown this deck before. Sickbed, a Rose, a Train, a Pig, a Fireplace, an Eye, Rapiers, a Broken Mirror, Lightning, a Safe, a Cat. So there's just a handful more cards that you can use or not. And one of the things that I thought was really fun and interesting, and one reason why I took Camellia Elias' class over others, is that when she uses this deck, she uses all the cards, because she doesn't really care that it's not canonical. You know what I mean? And so this is kind of like a 2 for the price of 1 situation. I didn't use the full deck when we did the workshop, but I frequently will. Because these just seem to work very intuitively. The little guidebook that comes with this is very good. For something that's very slim, the handbook, really nice. And his descriptions of the cards, of the additional cards, are really great. But I think you don't even need them. I do love that the pig is opulence. Opulence. So I love this one really a lot. And I love his work. I am also a mad lover of... And I was probably a mad lover of this before I was a lover of the Maybe, because I have been kind of a bitch about Lenormand in the past. This is the Playing Marseille. So it's his playing card version of the Marseille Tarot. And it makes me very happy. This is one that both of these he had made as handmade decks. This is one I really wanted to splurge and get the handmade version, but I just couldn't justify it. But that is one thing I'll say I'm thankful for US Games for, is bringing these 2 decks to life. Oops. What else? I have no idea what deck this is. This was gifted to me in just this way, in this little pouch. And there's a fairly large Lenormand deck inside. I would say it's probably closer to the Gilded Reverie in size, in fact. Smaller, but close. It says LP on the back, or no, it says LL on the back. This, because it didn't come in a box, I have no idea what deck this is. But it's a good one because I know what I'm looking at. If you know what this is, let me know. If you were the one who gave this to me, let me know, because I really can't remember. I know that I have seen this before. Bedazzled in ways. But it's very easy to see what we're looking at. So I can't tell you what the name of it is, but I can tell you that I like it. So, no idea what it is. But it definitely has a feel of, like, antiquity to it, which is a blessing and a curse, I guess, in modern life. These are 2 reproduction decks, so similar in that, yeah, I really have no idea what this is. But it was gifted to me. It was gifted to me with something else. It was like a little surprise. But it's nice, and like this little pouch is so dope. So I need to work with that more. I haven't worked with it much. I think these are the last 4 that we're going to talk about. Oops. Stop it. Yeah, small. Are they the last 4? I believe so. Oh my god, my heat's on. Let's do these first. This is another Vorsaken. This is from Lauren's Retro Repros on Etsy. And she does a really nice job. Yeah, this is one. This is one where it reminds me a lot of the Versaken or the Altus, in that there are some cards that are a little weird. This is a gorgeous back. Doink. And this one has kind of wider borders. Obviously, this was probably a card set that wasn't as wide as this printing allows. But it's nice. It's got 3 languages, big card insets, and again, very clear. This is on linen playing card stock. And really cool. And it was pretty affordable. You know, I bought these 2 at the same time. So I haven't really used this one, partly just because the wonky borders bother me a little bit, although not that much. But one of the reasons why is I really do reach for 2 most of the time. One you've already seen, it's the Maybe, and one you will see. And it's kind of weirdly like off-brand. This is of the 2 that I got from Lauren's Retro Repros, the one that I like the most. This is the Dablouis Lenormand. This one does have 2 men and 2 women cards. It is in French, and it has the little poems on it. The borders on this one are a little less wonkified, and it's a historic deck, but it's a little bit clearer than the other one that I just showed you. Time on my battery. So this is one where I left the 2 men in, and you see I put a little green dot over this one just to indicate that this is the self and this is the other because it doesn't have it. I really like this one a lot. This is one of the ones that has the little poems on it, which I haven't translated. You do need to, I mean, you can see what you're looking at, but if you're a little worried, you probably do want to find the French translations, but it's very simple. These are the 2 women cards, too. So I really like this one a lot. And it's very, you know, again, this is where I like linen cardstock, because it shuffles really well in this space. So I like this one. These Lauren's Retro Repros I got in preparation for the workshop, because I was just looking for things to sort of supplement what I had. I actually have others that I am not showing here, like I said, because they were gifted. Oh, there's one over here I do want to show you. This is another one that I really quite love, but I can't really use it. This is the Anna K. Lenormand. Now, I will admit, I love the Anna K Tarot. I never use it. People find it really off-putting for some reason. Well, I know why. It's also, I tend not to read all white decks when I'm reading for clients, and I don't really read for myself. But I love that deck, and I get really good readings with it. And I had sold it, and then missed it and bought it again. Eek. But I don't use it. The reason that I don't use this is, though it's beautiful, again, it's another one where it's not easy necessarily to see exactly what you're looking at all the time, although it's pretty clear, I will say. It really comes down to the card insets. I like having the card insets visible. These don't have that. There's one other, where the fuck is it? Another deck that I want to show you that doesn't have the card insets. There it is. They're on here, but they're really hard to see. Now, it's not the biggest deal. It's actually gorgeous, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to get rid of it because I really like it, but I don't use it for that reason. But it's really pretty, and the back is really pretty. I just find it a little oracle-y, I guess. Like the images kind of mean too much, in a way. But it's beautiful. There are also 2 man and 2 woman cards in this one. And then an extra card. And then just a really nice book, too. Like, it's gorge. I wish... I don't know what I wish. It's good. It's a good one. And if you like it, then you should get it. You can't get it from me because I like it too much to let go of it. I don't know what it is about this one. This is the Mystical Lenormand, and it's kind of like everything I sort of joke about that Lenormand hasn't become because the Golden Dawn never got their hands on it. Like, they took away the plant. This is the Mystical... I already told you that. It's Mystical Lenormand. They took away the plant card insets and added, like, symbols and astrological associations. The problem for me is that I love the artwork. Like, it's just very strange. It reminds me a bit of the tarot deck, the Stella's Tarot. But again, it's not one I use much because I find it hard to know what I'm looking at. Like, I don't know what the fuck card that is. So that's a problem for me. And like in this case with the whip card, like the central image is a man. It's not the whip. So like, I like the kind of... I can't remember the word I'm reading. Like the Byzantine art, but it's just not one I work with. Although I like the art a lot. So it's, again, another one that sort of sticks around. And I'm like, maybe, but it just doesn't. I also love owls. I wish the birds were owls more often. 2 more. I'm running out of time. This SD card's going to run out. This was one of the other first ones I got. It's the Blue Owl. Speaking of owls. Quite like it. It is not the one that I use the most. I find it a little effete for some reason. But it's good. You know what I mean? It's good. This is not a confusing one. You can see what you're looking at. Very, very clear. It reminds me of the one that I showed you earlier that I didn't know what it was. Very similar in a lot of ways. And, yeah, it's good. I don't know. It's not like, it doesn't call to me aesthetically as much as the other one does. The last one is my second favorite of the favorites. So it's the maybe Lenormand, this, and probably the French one that I showed you earlier. And the Vorsagen. Again, it doesn't... Like, unlike tarot, I guess not even unlike tarot. Like, for me, the deck doesn't really matter much either, but... I don't know, I just find myself reaching for the same ones. But, like, in Lenormand, the images really don't matter. And so what matters is that you can see what you're looking at immediately. This is a relatively new one in my collection. It is the Blue Bird Lenormand, as opposed to the Blue Owl. Similar, but this was a new version that the U.S. Games Company did before, in 2017, before Stuart Kaplan died. And it's got little poems that were English adaptations of kind of I showed you the other deck that has poems. And this is another one that I just really like the look of in a big spread. In the grand tableau, it's always very clear what we're looking at. And the poems are nice, although I don't think I've read a single one of them. It also has 2 men, 2 women cards. But I like it a lot. And this, I don't know why I gathered that up, because I have nothing else to show you, so I should have just left it the way it was. What a mess. OMG. This is another one that I just like the look of in the grand tableau, and that it's just, between this and the Maybe are the ones that I reach for most, for whatever reason. So, I mean, I will say, I've come around on Lenormand. I really enjoy reading it, but I only enjoy reading it in a grand tableau. I don't use it for a 9-card box. I don't like a string of 3. I've done the 5-card and 7-card. Those are fine. For me, the only reason, honestly, that I like the Lenormand is the grand tableau, because it's such a unique and interesting, specific thing. But I found it really effective, and I've started giving some readings, and those have been really, good experiences from what I understand from the clients and from me as a reader. And I've been offering a special for $20 grand tableaus. I don't know how long that's going to last, but it's up in my shop. But yeah, that's the blue bird, the blue owl, the Maybe, this thing, I don't know what it is. These. Is that everything? I think it is. Oh, you know what? There's also the story in Color Lenormand, which is Kelly Fitzgerald's, which I think is a good one. It's again kind of more oracle-y in a way, but it like the reason again, the gorgeous cardstock. Again, I want to sort of see what I'm looking at immediately, and then the card insets I sort of want to see immediately too. But it's just a really lovely, pretty, evocative Lenormand for sure. And that one was one. I think. I don't know. I haven't looked. If you can still get it. I ordered it when she released it initially. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I can read this thing I've been saying I can't do, and I've been doing a pretty good job. I will say, pat, back. Life's weird. I don't know. So there you go. Those are the Lenormand decks in my collection. Some thoughts, book recommendations, just a whole mess of stuff. Hope you enjoyed this. Be good. Take care. Talk soon.